going to look at a number of different ways we look at things, okay? In this video, I want to tell you a story, and I'm also going to tell you a profound situation that happened to me. But, I was profound, basically, in the story as well, all right? It's very profound for me. But the first thing I look at is, when it says that Jesus Christ is a healer, and that upon putting his hand on the ill, he was able to cure the person who was ill. All right. And I don't know, I can't help but to look at that a certain way, especially when you see certain people with messiah complexes here in this reality, and certain tools that we use, that we put our absolute faith in. Okay. So sometimes I look at even the mushrooms and whatnot, and you'll put all praise and all highs to these things. And you'll also do this with a Jesus Christ figure. All right. I want you to literally listen to this and dig a little bit deeper into this scenario that I'm gonna paint for you here, upon just basically sitting there and having my own self-talks. Okay. I want you to listen to this, okay? If Jesus Christ put his hand on the ill, okay, I can't help but to look at that as the same, doctors that we put our faith in, okay? If you're looking at Jesus Christ as a healer, but in a way that you're putting yourself in the state where you're putting your faith on something outside of yourself, such as a doctor, such as a medicine or any kind of vice, you're doing exactly the same thing as a Christian or a religious person is doing. And is that even really a healing process? So I'll give you an example. If Jesus Christ put his hand on a person, and suppose that Jesus Christ had medicinal properties, okay, and he cured your symptom of, let's say, diabetes, cancer, AIDS, whatever it may be. So did he actually cure the disease, or did he cure the symptom of the disease? So in other words, you'll leave out of there symptom free, but did you ever really change as an individual? All right. And realize that what you've been doing is what caused the diabetes. Okay. Such as lifestyle choices, poor habits and whatnot. So he may have cured your disease, but did you gain enough self-insight, self-actualization, self-knowledge, or even self-love to realize how the disease got there to begin with? And it was all self-inflicted. Okay? It was self-inflicted. So it got there because of poor lifestyle choices, poor eating habits, inflammatory actions and responses by the individual. Was all this realized? Right? Or did he just cure that? And then you go back to doing what you were doing that caused that to begin with. And then somehow you'll always hear things like, even when people go in remission, let's say, the cancer, he's in remission, but the cancer came back after a while, right? Why did the cancer come back? Because it can appear that a doctor is a healer when they take out, certain things from the body that shouldn't be removed. You can actually heal these things. You would appear to be cancer-free, but then you continue to do what you were doing that caused the cancer to begin with. Same negative programmings toward the actual life in general of the disease, okay? Then you'll hear like something that the cancer came back. So diabetes, same thing. Do you go back to eating a certain way? Do you go back to having the same poor lifestyle choices? So Christ is a healer. But when you have an actualization and a realization that these things are self-inflicted, and you get to the root core and have a realization as to how those things actually got there, believe it or not, you'll realize that you are the Christ that's touching you and healing you. And you are now starting to internalize this power rather than externalizing this power and putting your faith in hopes and things outside of you. Now, here's the thing also with the mushrooms. See, the mushrooms, you look at that as healers, as things that open up your perception. But I've spoken to enough people who've done psychoactive drugs, DMT and whatnot. And here's the for one, I mean, I've had similar experiences that they've had without the drugs, and I'm gonna get into detail here with what I'm talking about. I've had similar experiences, but I can't help but to notice that they are very much still in their ego. So they came back an evolved human. Okay? They came back an evolved human. And you can see this through many different ways, which I've mentioned in my very previous video that I put up on this topic that I suggest you watch. And it's actually part of a 3-video folder that I titled DMT and the Amazon rainforest. I suggest you watch those because there's even videos I've spoken about this even 4 years ago. And I went back and listened to it, and it was actually pretty enlightening for me. All right. So when you look at, for example, these psychoactive drugs, it's not the drug that matters. It's you that matters, the individual. Why do you think they tell you to go into this with a clear intent, clear mind, no sex, veer away from animal products, and your clear intent and positive vibes toward this? Because it's not really the drug. It's actually you that matters. And the whole healing is going to come from you at the end of the day. This is just a tool. You get what I'm saying? Everything is a tool. There's no such thing as a magic pill, because they call these a magic mushroom. It appears to be magic because you're experiencing something you don't experience in your waking life, but yet you can. That's the whole thing. You can. And it only appears to be magic. It's just like Christ being, somebody who can perform miracles. You can perform the same things. You're performing them every day. Only you're not considering them miracles because it takes time to do it. Yet they are already happening. If you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, you'll know that whatever you thought about it already manifests. It's just that you're the one that gets in the way. Just like the body's always trying to heal, but you're the one always getting in the way of it. All right? So now, these magic mushrooms, I would consider it like this. Okay? If you're gonna, let's say you're trying to lose weight. Okay? I would suppose that you're gonna change your diet. You're gonna start exercising, and you're gonna start having different lifestyle choices even before you embark in a fat burner. Okay? Because you know how many people I come across saying, I need a fat burner, I'm trying to lose weight. The first question I ask them is, how's your diet? And they say, oh, it's terrible. Well, I mean, you're coming here to buy a fat burner, but you still haven't changed your diet. So what are you expecting the pill to make you magically lose weight? Like you're just going to lose weight because it's a magic pill? It's not a magic pill. So suppose that I sell you the best fat burner on the planet and you continue to go eat Dunkin' Donuts and Popeyes, you're still going to fucking be fat. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter how powerful the fat burner was. There's no such thing as a magic pill or a magic mushroom. Okay? So here's what's happening now. Okay? The reason I say that there's no such thing as a magic mushroom is because I had a friend that I met. Okay? And I'm going to tell you the story, and then I'm going to tell you about the friend that I met and how everything's so synchronistic and how I'm mind blown by certain things, in this little place, if you want to consider it a place, we call a matrix. But this friend told me, okay, that he had a friend. And the reason why it was even synchronistic is because the guy even gave me the name of a drug that I couldn't remember for the life of me when I was talking to Aaron. Shout out Aaron from the Awaken Brief. On basically this particular drug. So it's called salvia. He told me that his friend decided to take a big hit of this salvia, but he ritualizes everything he does. So he was looking at himself in the mirror, okay? And looking at himself in the mirror, he took this big hit and put the remains with the tray right there on the side of the sink of the bathroom, and he's looking at himself in the mirror. And once he took that hit, he was out. He was out. Now, mind you, this guy is a 27-year-old single male. Okay, 27-year-old single male, young guy. And he flew into some parallel reality where he's actually 30 years old and he has 3 kids and a wife. Now, in this state, he lived these 30 years. Okay, he was there. He appeared there, and the funny thing is that he remembered the guy that took the hit in front of the mirror, but the longer he stayed in this alternate reality, the further and further the memory of who took that hit in the mirror was. It just started fading and fading and fading and fading until now he came back. He's there. He's enjoying his life. He's having 3 kids and a wife, right? But he remembers a guy that took a hit in the mirror. Now, days going by, things are happening. Like his life is happening, all right? Everything's happening there in his life. 30 years he lived. Was he ever born? No, he was never born there, right? But here's the thing. As he's living life, he comes across a box. He's like looking for something in one of these scenarios, and he comes across a box, and he opens it up, and it's the same tray with the remains of what he took, that when he took that hit of salvia, and it's exactly halfway used, and as he left it on the side of the sink when he took that hit. Okay. And I don't know, one thing led to another. I forgot, because I was kind of like, listening to this, and I was pretty astounded. But I don't know if he told me he took the hit of that, but upon taking that hit or whatnot, he just appeared right back in front of the mirror. Now, here's the scenario though. He comes back, and the reason this is kind of like profound for me is because I've had a similar experience without taking the drug. I was in a deep meditative state, and there's been times where I was in trance, in like some deep lucid state, and I'm interacting and hanging out with people that, I'm like intimate. I have like intimate emotions and relationships with these people. Like I actually love these people, and I don't know who these people are, but I feel for them, and I'm having a great time. I'm experiencing them, and I don't know who they are. See, the whole thing is, but the thing with this gentleman is that he was aware that there was a guy in the mirror that took that hit. See, in that lucid trance state that I wasn't aware of anything other than when I woke up from that state that I was zigzag, that I didn't recognize or even know who those people were, but I was hanging out with them in that state. And the thing is that when this gentleman came back from that trip, he formed a bond with these people, okay? He formed a bond with these people, but he was living these 30 years, but he was only out for a few minutes. Now, with me, again, I was hanging out with these people. It felt like I was out for 6 hours, but upon looking at time, I was only out for like 20 minutes. So you totally lose this perception of time. And the thing is that this gentleman told me that his friend now wants to go back because he misses his kids and he misses his wife. So I'm going to see, do you see what happens here? It would look like something that you would see in a movie and whatnot, right? But do you see how he came back into his humanity, but formed some type of new attachment? Because that's an egoic thing, You see, even when a dead person dies, you're really never really supposed to mourn the dead. You're supposed to just let them move on. That actually helps that energy move on, right? But whenever you want to grab and hold on to things, that's very egoic. So right now he's looking to take that hit again. And when he takes it, he wants to go back, right? To have another human experience. See, he formed an attachment with these things. So here's the crazy thing though. He's never had kids. He's never had a wife, but he had the experience, even though he never really had the experience. Do you see what I'm saying? So he can fathom what it's like. Even though somebody says, well, do you have any kids and a wife? Can you say no because you technically don't? Or can you say yes because you have experienced it and you actually have it in another parallel reality? So the reason I say this is because when I had some trance-like lucid state, I was having telepathic communication with elves in the trees. And one would say, well, you can't fathom what it's like to have a telepathic communication because you've never had one. But I actually did have one. And I know what it feels like because I was having an intimate telepathic communication with the elves in the trees. They never let themselves know, but I had an intimate telepathic communication with these elves. Now, I had an interaction with the fairy kingdom, which I had a surge of energy just shoot up from my feet all the way up to my head. That was the most insane fucking experience I've had, to be honest with you. I've been in places you can consider hell, and I've also been in places you can consider heaven, with these beasts or these elk, with these building sized like antlers, and it's like so magical to even look at that. Now, going back to this gentleman, okay, who had this interaction with with his kids and his wife. He came back and it formed a long-lasting imprint. And I know what he's talking about, because when I wake up from this lucid trance-like state where I was hanging out with these people, or even a girl that I was having such a magical moment with, it's like I wake up and I almost miss her, like I want to see her again, right? So now, why do I mention all this? Because instead of being grateful that you had that experience, you're still forming an attachment to it. It's no different than mourning the dead, when you should actually be grateful you had that experience with that individual. And it's hard. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard. I'm not saying it's easy, because if somebody close to me died, it would be a challenge to not mourn that individual, right? So it would have to be where I would have to have a level of compassion when I see something like that, right? But these videos are journals. They're for me, and they're also for you if they resonate with you. But I had this interaction with this dude, okay, with this guy that I'm talking to about, that gave me the story about his friend. Now, I've been on the topic of DMT and psychoactive drugs and whatnot in the past videos, particularly my very last one. And this guy appeared out of nowhere where I work, right? And he came up and started telling me that, you know, he quit caffeine. That was how the conversation even started. Now, I was like, oh, that's cool, man. I mean, I was listening to him, and I was like, well, why'd you quit caffeine? I was kind of curious. I mean, me being a guy drinking black coffee, no ice, no sugar, no milk. Now I was curious. I'm like, oh, what'd you get out of it? I mean, what's up? Why'd you quit caffeine? And I've quit caffeine before. I mean, it's actually good to get off and quit caffeine for a while, and then if you want to get back on it, you can. All in moderation too. Everything in moderation is fine. But anyway, I drank the he told me he quit the caffeine, and he told me, well, it was because I'm trying to get rid of everything I consider a drug at the moment. That's why I'm not even eating any animal products, and I'm not doing any kind of drugs. And I was a big ass drug user, but I got off of that shit. And then I'm like listening to him, and I'm like, all right, well, that's good, bro. I mean, I'm giving him encouragement, because I'm like, that's good stuff. When somebody's doing something and they feel happy and good about it, I mean, I'm going to tell them, very good, man. I mean, that's awesome if you're getting rid of animal products and all that. He feels good. Phenomenal, bro. I'm on your team. He told me that because I asked him originally, why'd you get off the caffeine? He told me, man, ever since I got off the caffeine, my dreams, they've been so lucid. Like, I can see everything so much clearer. Everything's so much better. I don't know. It's just such a freaking rad experience. It's like one of these, like, cool fucking guys, man. I like them. And I was like, man, that's fucking interesting. Really? Your dreams got lucid, huh? He's like, yeah. And the animal products and all that, I got to get rid of it. I'm going to an ayahuasca retreat in a couple weeks. So I've been on literally maybe 2 weeks now of no PMO. PMO is basically porn, masturbation, orgasm. Those are the abbreviations for that. And he told me he's been on this streak now, and he's happy about it. And I don't know, in that moment, I felt like I had almost an out-of-body experience. And, for those of you who've ever had an out-of-body experience, okay, you'll know that it's very important to maintain your frame. Because if you don't, you'll pop right back into your body. So in order for you to maintain that experience, you have to maintain your frame, maintain a very neutral state. Even the excitement of the accomplishment of coming out of body will pop you right back in. So you have to maintain a very, very steady, stable, form. Because look, for you to get out of body, you have to literally sneak out of your body. Like, you're literally putting the body to sleep, right? And while you're out of that state, you also have to maintain your frame, because if you wake up your body, you're coming right back in. So now, in this state, for some reason, I was kind of shocked and mind blown, because I'm like, where does this guy appear out of fucking nowhere, right? To talk to me about this topic out of the blue. You know what I'm saying? And I know how these things just appear and how they attract and just present themselves to you. But I'm maintaining my frame. I was excited. I had a feeling of excitement. You know what I'm saying? But I was maintaining my frame and I'm listening to him. And I'm looking at him right in his eyes. And I asked him, I was like, well, yeah, what makes you want to, where did all this come from? Why do you want to take an ayahuasca retreat? You got rid of all these things that you were doing. What led to this? And he told me he was a very, very big drug user. And he actually died twice. He gave me detailed information on what happened. What did he see when he died? He told me what happened and what didn't happen, which I'll talk about in another video. I want to stay on topic with this video. But man, fucking interesting conversation with the dude. To be honest with you, I spoke to him for like 2 hours. We talked about aliens. We talked about planets. We talked about spirituality, non-duality. We talked about a lot of things. Very good conversation with this dude. But he told me that upon doing all these heavy drugs, he came across these mushrooms. And he told me, bro, I've done drugs before, man. These are not a fucking drug. These are not fucking drugs. These shits will show you things, man. These things are fucking insane. I can't believe it. In fact, it changed my whole perception of life. I want to take this ayahuasca trip just to find out more and know more about what the fuck happened to me and more about myself. And I said, wow, man. I mean, I'm encouraging him. I was like, bro, that's good stuff, man. I'm glad that you're on the right page, you know, the right path to finding yourself and shit, you know, and I'm listening to him. I'm being encouraging to him. And, you know, he had all these questions about reality and all this shit, but he's a very knowledgeable guy at the same time, though. He knew a lot of stuff. And I was like, so, but my question to him was, how did you come across them though? He's like, dude, it's just a buddy of mine. Just, you know, he gave them to me. And then he goes, why? You want some? And then I'm like, well, no. I mean, I'm not asking for that. I'm asking just because I want to know, like, how did they just come across? Because I've been talking about it in videos where the plant presents itself to you, you know, and that's basically, you know, why I asked him that question. And he goes, yeah, man, it's just a buddy of mine just came across and handed him to me. But dude, you know, if you want, I can get him for you because I know, you know, upon talking to you, I know you would fucking be good use of him. Like, you would fucking get it, dude. Like, you would actually be very good with these shits. And I was like, dude, I don't even know what the fuck they cost. What did you pay for that? And he goes, nah, bro, you know, like normally, of course, I would like sell them, but I don't want to sell these to you, man. You can't just give these to anybody. I'll just give them to you if you want, man. I don't mind if you try them out and then, you know, just after talking to you, I know you would make good use of them. So, and I've heard this before from a lot of people. You get what I'm saying? That I would make good if I use these psychoactive drugs. Now, in my mind, a few things crossed. I said, okay, this came to me. I didn't go looking for this, okay? But I see also the conspiracy side of things. I see the pros and cons to things, the possibilities. And I want you to understand something. When you have a functioning third eye, okay? I told you that you can see when people have ulterior motives. You can see when people are trying to backstab you. You can see these things before they happen. You can see. Okay, but you're not seeing with the eyes in front of you. You're seeing with the eyes in the middle of your head. And this eye, it's not really like an eye. Okay, it's basically you have a 360-degree line of sight. Okay, and you cannot get backstabbed because you'll see it coming because you literally are like having eyes in the back of your head. I'll give you an example, okay? It's even like I'll use this example even in YouTube Landia because a lot of people get very brave for some reason and they feel like they can just become, you know, these keyboard warriors. And sometimes they want to be trolls. And this is something that's self-inflicted, no different than, you know, like diabetes, the cancer, and all that type of stuff. It's very self-inflicting. And they feel safe because they're behind the screen of their channel. They have no profile picture, they have no profile name, they have no information, no videos, just a blank page. But this makes them feel safe, you know? And this is not true. You know what I'm saying? You see, a lot of people even hide behind their own body. Some people have negative intentions toward you, ulterior motives, and there's people who can see right through that individual. You get what I'm saying? So they feel safe sometimes because they have a body. Everything's exposed. Okay? If you have a body, you're protected. Protects your organs, protects you, but spiritually you hide behind that too. And if you have a functioning third eye, you would never even think to do harm unto others anyway. And the reason why is because the same way, you know, because a lot of people even get very attached to their persona. I'm a teacher. I'm a creator. I can teach you things you don't know. You know, I'm the best. You're not going to get this anywhere else. Very attached to that, right? But in an instant, you could wake up somewhere else. You could wake up as an idiot. Somebody who does, you could wake up on the other side of the screen and not know what the fuck happened, right? Get very attached, okay, to your individuality, okay? Suppose you woke up and you were able to experience being Christ or experiencing being God, experiencing yourself as all things. How would you come back into this reality? Would you still have that victim mentality, pointing fingers and judgment and all that kind of shit? Would you even look at humanity as an actual thing? That's the whole thing. You see, the entire universe is already in you. Everything is in you. And to look at it really, really closely, the only protection you have is your perspective. Your cells are like little people. They're like little sentient cells. They even have something called organ-like organelles. And how you perceive life determines the expression of these cells. All right? How you treat yourself determines how much love you have for yourself. A lot of people have kids. You have a cat. You have different types of things you want to take care of. Even a car. You may want to take care of it so much because you love it, right? But sometimes you'll find that certain things outside of you are treated better than you treat yourself. And then you wonder why certain things happen to you in the way they do. So it all starts from self-love. Put your oxygen mask on first before you try to help anybody else. A lot of people are trying to teach and help other people, but if you really closely look at these people, they need help themselves. And catering to their ego is doing no better. All it's doing is just strengthening that animal that they are. I'm going to give you an example, okay? If you have a poor person, okay, would it be better to teach them how to make money or to just give them money all the time? This can go into even the topic of the disease part. When I spoke about in the beginning of the video, when Christ touched the ill and he healed the sick. Did he just cure a symptom or did he cure the disease itself? It's no different than a cortisone shot. You take a shot of cortisone in an inflamed joint, you think that this thing healed you and it didn't heal you. Now you'll be moving it in ways that you shouldn't be moving it in, only because you think the pain is gone, but it's only numb. But if the pain was there, you wouldn't be moving your arm in that way. But the fact that you got it numb, now you're moving it in ways that's further aggravating it. Now what's happening? Now the pain, the numbness goes away and you're in much more pain than you were before. And you've done even further damage to the point where now they made money off of you from a shot and now they'll make money off of you for surgery. When in actuality, there's pros and cons to that. to the cortisone shot. So let's look at it from both sides. You see, if you do a cortisone shot, if you were actually like looked over by a person who knows how to do proper body mechanics, and you'll do certain exercises, what that does is, because you don't have the pain there, it actually helps you relax. So you actually end up firing certain muscles that were atrophying that you weren't using because you were moving your arm in a certain way that was compensating for the pain that you have. So when you took that cortisone shot, now you're able to move in a certain, with the aid of somebody who knows what they're doing. Now you're able to move that arm in a way where you actually are on the road to healing. Okay? Look at the drugs the same way. If it's guided by somebody who knows what they're doing, then it's good to be guided on that path. We're all spirit guides to each other. So we're all spiritual beings. It's not to say that you have to know it all, or you can't put your, teamwork makes a dream work. But in actuality, this is where I even said that when the guru, when the student is ready, the guru appears. You are always that guru, but you'll also attract other people in the same vibe and the same frequency. So the reason I mentioned this about the millionaire part, God putting his hand on you, did he actually really heal you? I'll give you an example here. If, let's say, Christ came down and there was a really poor person on the street, this person's literally hit rock bottom. If he hands that individual $1 million, technically he's a millionaire, but is the guy really a millionaire? He has $1 million, so that means he's a millionaire. But is the guy a millionaire? See, the whole thing is, Jim Rohn said, if you get handed $1 million, best you become a millionaire or you don't get to keep the money. So that person doesn't know how to handle that blessing if he's never changed himself. This all bleeds into the topic of, if you took these drugs and come back and you have human attachments to now the experience you had, or now you're just more spiritual or have more knowledge and you hold on to this knowledge the same exact way. This is all tools. And when you spread it in a way that you're using it as a tool, you literally are empowering yourself, because everybody outside of you is yourself. But they'll do it for other purposes. They'll do it because it's enhancing their humanity. It's enhancing their status. How great they are, or how much they know, and they just look like they just better fucking, they'll use it for the fame and glory of it. The power that they can wield from it. Now, I'm not for or against the drug. All right. This man that got handed $1 million, does he know what to do with that energy? Right? Does he know how to maintain that level of abundance? So if a person, right, got handed that $1 million, right, can that Christ figure outside of you make you a millionaire? I'm sure you'll get blessings, but would you know what to do with those blessings? All right. The diseases, all that fly shit that happens, all right, are all poor lifestyle choices. They're all self-inflicted. And when you realize that, you're on the road to real healing. You'll know that you're the Christ putting that hand on yourself. I got, I was talking to this dude again for 2 hours and whatnot. And he insisted, he's like, look, man, I'll give you some of the mushrooms if you want them. Don't worry about it. You'll look out for me in another way sometime. And I said, all right, man, I was, I was like, all right, whatever, it's cool. I'll try them out. I didn't think he was going to come back this quick, but he came back the very next day and gave me these mushrooms. So I have these mushrooms in my possession. Whatever happens, let's say, I will document and let you all know what happened. And that's if I take them, right? But this is all going to be determined just by just sitting with myself and just being very present in the moment. I don't want to talk too much about that because I'm not even sure what I'm going to be doing. But I do have the mushrooms in my possession. You know, the gentleman gave me these mushrooms. Again, I see the pros and cons. I see the conspiracy side of things. I see the possibilities. But this is the type of mentality I don't want to have. And I see why it happened. You see, everything I've been talking about and everything shows itself a certain way to have you questioning and doubting. And I talked about this in the very fucking last video, man. Do you see how this shit works? But anyway, I made my points that I wanted to cover in this video. If you like what I've spoken about, like, share, subscribe, and we will talk soon.